Welcome to the deep dive.
Aha.
You send us your sources, and we're here to pull out the key stuff, give you that smart shortcut.
Exactly. And today we're jumping into, well, a really compelling conversation. It's from a YouTube video, Li Lecotre Tim, featuring Madame Xuân Phượng.
Right, Madame Xuân Phượng. And this the source, it's basically a conversation across generations, isn't it? About finding peace, love, life lessons.
Yeah, precisely. She's 95, reflecting back. So our mission, for this deep dive is to really explore her wisdom, her thoughts on things like fear, trust, resilience, all gleaned from this incredible life she's lived.
Okay, great. So let's start with fear. It's kind of amazing she talks about being young before the resistance movement and just not getting fear. Like the concept itself seemed funny to her. Total innocence.
It's such a stark contrast to now, right? At 95, her fears are very real, rooted in aging.
Like what specifically?
Things like a long decline, pain being a burden on others, her body weakening. She actually wishes for a quick, peaceful end.
Wow. That really brings it home. That makes you think about your own anxieties, maybe about getting older or just life's curveballs.
Definitely. It forces a bit of reflection.
Okay, so moving on. There's this really striking image she talks about. A painting by an artist named Trung In Hao. She really admired him.
Yes, Trung In Hao, she had huge respect for artists with that, real love of life and inner strength. She saw that in him, especially because he stuck to his own style.
Which wasn't the popular one at the time.
Exactly. This was around, say, 1980 to 2000. His style wasn't the, let's call it mainstream, officially recognized art of the period. Socialist realism was more dominant then, often showing these idealized scenes. His dedication to his own path, well, that clearly struck a chord with her.
I can see why. So the painting itself, what's it like? It sounds intense.
It really is. Picture this. Top left, you got this calm scene. A hen peacefully sitting on her eggs. Soft, gentle imagery. Maternal almost.
Okay.
But then, the bottom part, it completely shifts. There's a knife, a plate, but with water boiling on it, steam coming off like it's ready for cooking, and a bottle of wine.
Whoa. That's
Yeah.
quite a contrast.
Yeah.
A hen and the knife. What does she take from that?
For her, it's all about the duality of life. The hen is like, the easy path life seems to offer when you're young, maybe 18, 20, full of hope.
Right. Naive optimism, maybe?
Sort of. But the bottom part, the knife, the boiling water, that's the hidden danger. The stuff lurking beneath the surface, the uncertainties that can just pop up. She even connects it to that quote from Julius Fuchik. Humans, be careful. It's a warning, isn't it? Life looks calm, but there are always potential. Well, knives. Always a dance between the calm hen and the waiting danger.
Humans, be careful. That's powerful. And this ties into the idea of fear and innocence, right?
Okay.
The hen isn't scared because it just doesn't know.
Exactly her point. Starting life with that kind of innocence, not worrying constantly about what might happen, there's a certain freedom in that. Like kids, They haven't learned to fear certain things yet.
But that innocence, it doesn't last forever, does it? She talks about her own experience, joining the resistance when she was only 16. That changed things.
Oh, absolutely. She calls that her moment of stepping out of the nest, suddenly seeing strange things, losing that carefree view. It's that classic transition, isn't it? From innocence to awareness, encountering the world's difficulties.
Yeah, something many of us go through. And these big life moments, they often mean letting go of who you were before. She tells this incredible story about cutting her hair.
Ah, yes. That's so symbolic. After being wrongly confined, treated horribly in that military hospital.
Covered in cow dung, wasn't it? Awful.
Just degrading. And her long hair, it represented her old self, her gentler past. People admired it. Cutting it off was this huge statement, like, goodbye to that girl, I'm someone else now.
Wow.
It really shows how life forces these internal goodbyes as we change and grow.
Makes you think about your own turning points.
Yeah.
Then there was that really tough experience with the head doctor.
Yes, that was a huge one. Betrayal, jealousy, mistreatment. She even describes a dramatic escape. It clearly forged some inner strength.
And she never forgave him.
Years later, she found out he'd passed away. And she's very open about it. She didn't forgive him. Her reason? He destroyed the beautiful dream of a young, patriotic girl. It shows how deep those wounds can go.
That's intense. And it leads into this whole complex thing about forgiveness. She mentions a journalist, Wilfred Burchett.
Yeah, the Burchett reference is kind of a reminder that, sometimes there are forces or people impacting our lives that we don't even see, unseen enemies almost.
Right.
And her approach to people who wronged her is interesting. It's less about actively forgiving them for their sake.
And more about.
More about forgetting them, like actively pushing them out of her head, her heart, taking away their power over her emotions.
So it's a kind of self-protection, letting go for herself. She mentioned her grandmother too, right?
Yeah.
Some advice.
Oh, it's a fantastic saying. Her grandmother said something like, when you hold blood in your mouth to squirt at someone, the first person to have their mouth dyed red is you.
Wow, that's vivid.
Isn't it? It perfectly captures how holding on to resentment hurts you the most. So for Madame Xuân Phượng, letting go, forgiving, in that sense, is really about untangling those knots inside herself. Forgiving herself, almost, for carrying that weight.
Forgiving yourself, that reframes it completely. It's not about letting the other person off the hook.
Not necessarily, no. It's about your own peace.
Now, she also talks about trust and how it can still trip you up even later in life. The story about the gallery owner, Vi.
Ah, yes. Vi in Singapore and Colorado. A really painful story of misplaced trust. Led to a huge financial loss.
And this was when she was older, right? You'd think maybe you get more cautious.
Exactly. It shows age doesn't make you immune. She trusted Vi, and it backfired badly. She's quite blunt about it, calling it the foolishness of easily trusting others, even then.
That's rough. But how does she process it?
What's key is how she took responsibility. She says something like, because I'm the one who caused everything, so I should accept all the consequences.
Taking ownership, even when someone else betrayed her, that's tough.
It is, and she draws that line again. Not forgiving Vi, perhaps, but freeing herself from the burden, the anger, accepting her part in it.
And despite that really bad experience, she didn't just shut down, still trusts people.
Remarkably, yes. That seems to be core to her. She knows there are bad people, sure, but she hasn't let it make her totally cynical. She holds on to the good experiences, stays open. It says a lot about her spirit.
It really does. Okay, so this connects to learning from failure. She mentions that French saying.
Failure is the mother of success.
Yeah.
Yes, that fits her outlook. Every stumble is a lesson, makes you stronger, maybe cushions the next fall a bit.
Right. Learn as you go. But then she throws a curveball when it comes to love.
Ah, yes, the contrast. She brings up another saying, in love, every love is like the first time.
Meaning, past heartbreaks don't necessarily teach you anything for the next time.
Kind of. She uses it to talk about how love can be, well, irrational. Another French quote comes up. The heart has reasons that the mind cannot understand.
Huh. Ain't that the truth?
So while you learn from failures in business or other areas, love might just hit you fresh every time, bypassing all that hard-won wisdom. Though she does add a caveat.
Which is?
That some people do learn. It depends on the person. Some do evolve in how they approach love after getting hurt. So it's not absolute.
Okay, so it's complicated. As always with love. Let's circle back to the hen painting. Knowing the knives are out there, does that mean we should live scared? How does she suggest we handle that awareness?
Her advice is basically, keep the faith. Have faith in life, even with its traps. She really dislikes pessimism.
So, not naive, but hopeful.
Hopeful and also strong within yourself. She talks about having a good ego, which sounds like healthy self-worth, and a kind heart. That combination helps you navigate, helps you sense negativity or danger.
Interesting. A good ego and a kind heart.
She also notes that young people today, maybe they have more knowledge, more information, but maybe also more fears that aren't quite real, unreal fears.
It's like anxiety fueled by too much information, maybe.
Perhaps. And when it comes to real connection, especially love, she downplays theory. It's about the vibration, she says.
Vibration. Like a gut feeling.
Exactly. That immediate sense of connection or lack thereof. It can just overwhelm all the logical stuff you think you know.
Yeah, I get that. And friends become important then.
Crucial. When things get overwhelming, when that vibration hits hard, good friends are your sounding board, your support.
Makes sense. Okay, shifting gears a bit. Let's talk about the fears specific to old age. She says they change from worrying about betrayal.
Right. Less about what others might do, more about, well, the end. Her big fears now are about the process of dying, wanting it to be quick, painless.
Understandable.
And also, quite poignantly, she fears being seen by friends when she's frail or sick.
Really? Why is that?
It comes from seeing how others behave around the dying. Sometimes insensitive, maybe focused only on the decline. She worries about that perception, about friends only remembering her as haggard.
Wow, that touches on how society values image, doesn't it? And how important self-love is when you're vulnerable.
Absolutely. It's that pressure to always be fine. She admits her own fear of decline, but she copes by focusing on what's strong her mind, her writing.
And despite all these fears, Her love for life just shines through.
Oh, completely. It's in the little things, the joy she finds in seeing flowers bloom, and that incredible story about the pear blossom branch.
Tell us that one again briefly.
She had this branch, seemingly dead, but it bloomed. And then, against all odds, it even grew tiny little pears. For her, it was this amazing symbol of nature's resilience, its beauty, life persisting.
That's beautiful, a little miracle. And it connects to her point about really seeing the world, doesn't it?
Yes, the difference between just looking and truly seeing, paying attention, observing, that's how you find those moments, appreciate life. She still hopes for more surprises.
I love that. Still open to surprise at 95.
And she notices how people sometimes stereotype the elderly. She shares funny stories like a taxi driver assuming she chews betel nut or being surprised she knows the word okay.
Ha. Shows how easy it is to make assumptions.
Then there's the story of seeing an old woman feeding pigeons in Paris. It made her realize the deep need we all have for connection, for humanity. For her, that openness in the heart, that's the energy for good love.
She sounds like, as you said, a sparkling gem.
Yeah.
That mix of deep experience and still the kind of innocence or wonder.
That's a great way to put it, a really unique combination.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into her reflections, what are the big takeaways for you?
Well, definitely her resilience, bouncing back from so much, the way she thinks about trust and forgiveness, especially forgiving yourself. The idea that learning never stops, that life can still surprise you, and just the power of a loving heart, really. Still so vibrant.
Yeah, for me, that idea of forgiveness for self-liberation really stood out. And the painting metaphor, the hand and the knife, that's going to stick with me as a reminder of life's unpredictable nature.
Totally. And thinking about her whole journey, it really prompts that question for yourself, doesn't it? How do you balance being aware of the potential knives in life
Right.
while still holding on to some of that innocent wonder of the incubating hen? How do you stay wise but also open?
That is a fantastic question to ponder, a real balancing act. We hope this deep dive into Madame Xuân Phong's wisdom has given you some valuable food for thought, maybe encouraged you to look at the source, or just reflect on your own life.
Yeah, hope it was insightful.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.